Hello, everyone, and welcome to our latest online event here at the University of California, Merced. My name is Ricky Hill, and I am the e-recruiter here at UC Merced. Thank you once again for joining us. Tonight, you are in for a special treat. We are offering you a live virtual campus tour of our beautiful campus here in Merced, California. So once again, thank you for joining us. Before we get started, let me give you a couple of quick tips. If you would like to adjust your audio settings, you can do so in the lower left corner of your screen by clicking the audio settings button. If you need to adjust the size of your window, click on View Options in the upper portion of your screen. Lastly, and most importantly, we would love to get to your questions tonight. You have the opportunity to submit those throughout the presentation by clicking on the Q&A button that should be located at the lower portion of your screen. Go ahead and get those sent in, and we will get to those possibly throughout the presentation behind the scenes. If not, we also have a live question and answer session available at the end of this event. Quick reminder, tonight's event is part of a larger series called Discover UC Merced. It is a virtual series. We will go ahead and drop that link to you at some point throughout the evening so you can take a look at other upcoming events and get yourself registered. Once again, my name is Ricky Hill. It's a great honor to be with you. And once again, a big welcome. Thank you for joining us. At this time, I would like to hand things over to our tour guide, Ian.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ian Arispe, and I'm a fourth-year computer science and engineering major here at UC Merced. A little bit about myself, why I chose UC Merced. So UC Merced was the closest school to my area. I'm from Patterson, California, so I can always go back home and visit my brothers whenever I'd like, visit my old friends, and I can also just be at Merced and doing my thing here. And my plans after UC Merced is to join the computer science industry and work at a great company to do some kind of work. I like to do creative work, so anything that's innovative, I'm going to be into. And I'll hand it off to the next tour guide to introduce themselves, which is Justin.
Hello, everyone. My name is Justin. I am a third-year management business economics major here at UC Merced. I chose UC Merced because I'm from Merced, and I just thought the idea of attending a university in California that was in my hometown was a really good opportunity and one I didn't want to pass up on. I also wanted to be a part of a young and growing campus, so that's why I chose UC Merced. Some things I'm involved with on our campus are going to be being a student tour guide with the Office of Admissions, being in our Yosemite Leadership Program, the Marketing Club, and then I'm currently rushing for Delta Sigma Pi, which is a professional business fraternity here on campus. And then my plans after UC Merced, once I get my four-year degree, is to pursue a graduate degree, whether it be an MBA or a master's in leadership development. But that's my future plans, and I'm going to pass it off to Erica now.
Thank you. So my name is Erica. I am now a fourth-year cognitive science student here at UC Merced, and I'm also from Merced. So fun fact, Justin and I actually graduated from the same high school. So the reason that I chose UC Merced was because research is one of the school's missions. So as someone who wanted to pursue a career in research, I thought it would be very, very convenient to be part of a smaller campus where I could involve myself in research very easily. And thankfully, I have been able to do that. So here on campus, I'm also involved in some clubs and organizations. So the Cognitive Science Student Association, as well as I am a newly elected senator for our Associated Students of UC Merced. So my plans for after graduation, which are coming up really, really quickly, I am applying to graduate schools all throughout the nation, really, where I hope to pursue my PhD, where I can, get more experience and do my own research. I want to focus on autism, and so, just how to help individuals live a happy life. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. So now we're actually going to dive in to our campus tour. So I want to start off by welcoming you all to UC Merced. So UC Merced opened on September 5th of 2005, and it is the newest addition to our UC system. So the UC system is the first American research university of the 21st century. So our mission consists of research, teaching, and service. And so, like I said before, this is one of the reasons that I chose UC Merced, because having research as one of their missions, it's guaranteed that it is going to be, a really big thing on campus. Awesome. So UC Merced also is home to 25 majors, 25 minors, and 18 graduate programs. So yes, we do also have a lot of graduate programs that students can either get their master's degree in or their PhDs as well. So that's also a very, very good option for our students who want to continue their education. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with the first stop, which is our University Plaza. So the University Plaza, as you can see here, UC Merced has undergone immense growth. The University Plaza kind of just is a really nice place where you can see all of this growth. So for example, UC Merced has gone a project, which we call the 2020 project. And so within this project, we were able to add 1.2 million square feet of space for, teaching. So we have a lot of new classrooms. Of course, we have a lot of new housing facilities as well, a lot of offices, which we'll definitely be able to showcase throughout the tour. And so fun fact, these 10 palm trees that you all see here, they represent all of our sister campuses. So including UC San Francisco, as some of you may know, UC San Francisco is actually a graduate-only campus. But we still included them here because they are a part of that UC system. Awesome. So, and then I just also wanted to touch upon, this is also a nice place for students to kind of just hang out. As you can see, there's that little lawn area that we have here. So if students have any time between classes, this is one of the places where they might go. Awesome. So this is our little plaza that we have here. And so moving on, we can go ahead and talk about our Health and Athletics Center. And so keep in mind, this is also brand new. So our students are able to use all of these brand new structures. So for example, here we have our fields, our recreation fields. And so within these, we can use them for recreation. And this is also where our soccer team comes and competes for their games. So we have 3 of these fields, as you can see here. Super, super nice. Everything is brand new, like I said. So for example, if you're into sports, then this is definitely something you want to take advantage of. And I also want to show you all our aquatic center. So this is outdoor, it's an outdoor 16-lane Olympic size pool. So this is, perfect for our brand new club water polo team that will be, they actually just started. I know one of my tour guide friends is actually on that team. So yeah, but that is our aquatic center. And also, of course, the health center. So students here have, cutting edge technology, doctors, of course. So if, students are feeling under the weather, if, for example, they need to get any COVID tests, the vaccine, flu vaccines, all of that good stuff, they can be seen here on campus. There's no need to go to, the hospital in Merced because we have our own center here. And the really cool thing is that we have actual doctors that come here, as well as, students who intern and are completing their service hours to go on to med school and other things like that. But yeah, so that is our health center. And of course, I just want to reiterate, if there are any questions regarding anything that I'm going over, feel free to use that Q&A feature or just pop your questions in the chat and I'll be happy to answer them. All right, so moving on to the administration building. So that is actually the building that I'm currently in right now. On one side, you have your Students First Center on the first floor. And so the Students First Center is really a one-stop shop for all needs that a student might have. So if you have any questions regarding financial aid, or maybe registration questions, you're not sure how to register for classes, or anything that has to do with financial aid, admissions, anything like that, students can come here and there's staff here that are able to answer those questions in person. So we also have like our phone numbers that you can dial into, but a lot of the times students and parents that come for our tours, for example, really want that, in-person contact. So we have that for students. On the other side, however, is where we have our welcome center. So like I said, that's currently where I am right now. And this is the place where students can come in. If families come in and they have a tour, this is where we would greet them and head off on our tour. We also have a really cool little conference room in here. So when we have, for example, like high schools coming or elementary schools, we like to do student panels, which is where they can ask us questions. But yeah, that's the administration building. And another really cool thing is that we actually have classes in here as well. So students can come here for all of those resources that I just listed, but they might also have classes in the upper, second, and third floors as well. All right, perfect. So moving on to our conference center, it's adjacent to the administration building. So this is one of our, most prominent facilities here. Again, it's brand new, and in here we have our Dr. Vikram and Laluireddy Grand Ballroom. And so this is a really, really big room that we use for, conferences or large scale events. For example, the Chancellor's Honor Reception was held here. This was for students who made it on the Chancellor's Honor List for 2 semesters in a row. I was able to attend this event, and it was really, really cool that we had such a big space to host so many people in. So really cool stuff that the 2020 project was able to bring us. And that's the conference center from the outside. All right, perfect. So now we can move on to our academic walk. And so our academic walk basically consists of our brand new housing facilities. So this includes El Portal and Sentinel Rock, which are the newer ones. And then we also have Granite Pass and Glacier Point, which are still new, but not as new as El Portal and Sentinel Rock. And so in here, of course, you can find, typically you'll find a lot of singles, doubles, and triples, or sorry, a lot of doubles and triples. You won't find singles as much, but they are available for students. So in here, you'll also find, students have study lounges, kitchens, of course, as well as game rooms within these different housing facilities. So these all might look a little different depending on which facility you are in. And the really cool thing too is that the ground floors of these buildings are actually classrooms and offices as well. So you might have a class in here. It's really convenient if you're living in one of these places because you can go downstairs, especially if you have a really early class in the morning. You could literally go downstairs in your pajamas and be in class. So it's really, really convenient. And as I mentioned, we also have offices in here. So for example, the Office of Student Involvement, they kind of oversee all of the different clubs and organizations that we have on campus. So we do have over, I believe now it's 200 registered clubs and organizations. So there's definitely a club for everyone. However, if you find that, you don't particularly fit into a club, you can definitely start your own. All it takes is like 4 members. You need to write your own constitution, and that's pretty much it. You can start your own club. And we also, of course, behind these have our basketball courts and tennis courts as well. So these are open for students to use. Yeah, it's really cool if, you just have some time between classes too, or just have a free day. You can come down here with your roommates and shoot some hoops. But yes. Okay, I do see some questions. However, I think we'll go ahead and save those for the end since they're not particularly about this, but we will get to those. Okay, perfect. So I do want to move along to our pavilion. So this is our dining center here on campus. It's definitely, not the only place to eat on campus, but the pavilion has a lot of space as well. So it actually seats more than 600 people, and it has a really nice view of our little lake, and it's conveniently placed by, all of our housing locations that we have on this side of the campus. So keep in mind, we also have more housing options down on the other side of campus. But here you'll basically find different food stations to choose from. So we have authentic Mexican food. There's Rufus Grill, which has your hamburgers, pizzas, all, the basic stuff. And we also have our Lake Walk. So they have a lot of Asian cuisine, all that good stuff. And then we offer weekly specials as well. So the menus are always kind of rotating, as well as having a salad bar for students who kind of like that stuff too. And yeah, so I think that's pretty much the pavilion. Yeah, so moving on to our Arts and Computational Sciences building. Actually, Ian will go ahead and tell you about this. So I'd like to hand it over to Ian. Remember, if you have any questions, definitely use that question and answer feature.
All right. Hello, everyone. So I'm going to be going over the Arts and Computational Science building, like Erica mentioned. So this is one of our newer buildings. So all of the buildings that we're going to be looking at are relatively new, and they've only been being used for a few semesters. So first of all, the Arts and Computational Science building has on the first floor lecture halls. So those lecture halls seat about 290 students, and they have two large LED panels on the wall. So I like to tell people that there's no worst seat or best seat in the class, because you can see and hear everything perfectly in every seat. Your teacher can actually be heard from the bottom of the classroom all the way to the top. So whether your professor wants to mic up or not is up to them, because they're going to be totally audible in the classroom regardless. And they have giant speakers in there, so that way if they do use the microphone, you can hear them just fine. And those are those two LED panels on the back where it says UC Merced. That's where those LED panels would be. And then also in our Arts and Computational Science building on the second floor, we have labs for our computer scientists. So for any of us doing coding on, we usually use Linux in our lab. So they're going to be setting up the computers up there so we can do our laboratories in there. And then also in this building, it has arts in the name. So we have our multiple rooms for the arts, such as the film rooms, which looks like a little movie theater in there. And we also have music rooms with a giant wall there, with a giant mirror on the wall for the dancers to use as well. So it's a music room for the music people to perform in there, and also for the dancers to use as a dance room. We're going to be moving on to the next building, which is right across from our Arts and Computational Science building, which is the Sustainability Research and Engineering building. So we're going to take a look in here. This one has multiple laboratories for our students to use. So multiple engineering laboratories, chemistry laboratories, and I've actually taken an Earth System Science class in this building. So the labs in here are brand new. A lot of the students are using them, are some of the first ones to use them, just like the other building that I mentioned right now. This is a view of the inside of one of the labs. They look very brand new, like I said. And they're going to show you how to use every piece of technology that you see once you walk in there. Because once you see one of the chemistry labs, there's just stuff all over the table, and some people get intimidated. But don't worry, they're going to show you how to use everything. We're going to be moving on to the next building, which is the Biomedical Sciences and Physics building. One of our most popular majors here at UC Merced is biology. That's for the School of Natural Sciences. The most popular major is biology. A lot of those students want to go into medical school. So this building is to support those students with laboratories for them to use. This building is actually our largest building here at UC Merced. It's longer than a football field. And if you were to look on the other side of the building, it has a research laboratory that's adjacent to it. So that way the students can conduct research in that research greenhouse in case it's something that can't be done inside of the main building. And this is a little stairway up. So once we walk up here, if you were going on a tour in person, I usually walk up to the top of the stairs right here. And I would mention that this whole section of school that we just walked through is all brand new. So we've built it within the last few years as part of our 2020 project. So we're going to keep going to the next building, which is the Science and Engineering building number 2. So this building right over here, if you look at it, that's actually me right there with the glasses on the left side. We're going to be taking a look at this building, which is, we split our science and engineering buildings up into 2 sections. The second building, it focuses on the School of Engineering. So think of computer science and engineering, mechanical engineering, material science and engineering, environmental engineering, and our newest major, which is actually civil engineering. So if you're interested in building roads, doing any kind of infrastructure type of things, you can do our newest major, civil engineering. If you were to look on that left side where all our labs are, you would look and see the aerodynamics lab, the fluid mechanics lab, and the rapid prototyping lab. And finally, our capstone laboratory, where students actually work with real companies to solve a problem. So they can make a certain prototype or maybe a certain program, and that way they can help the company solve a problem. And some students actually end up with a job after completing that capstone project. This is a view of the aerodynamics lab that I mentioned earlier. I was going on a tour in person the other day, and the wind tunnel was blowing wind out at the students, and everybody started laughing because they thought it was funny. It was the first time I've ever seen the doors open. So you see something new every day, even on my 4th year. And this building is also a great place for students to study. So if you were to go inside, right behind me inside this building, you would see the whiteboard that starts from the bottom floor and it goes all the way up to the top floor. So they usually tell you not to write on the wall, but the walls in this building are actually made up of whiteboards. So it's a nice place to study and spend your time. And we're going to keep going. One more thing before we do, though, take a note of how sustainable the building is. So you'll see solar panels located all over the building, and you'll see a lot of glass all over the building as well. Some students ask me, why is there so much glass on the building? It's to let as much natural sunlight in as possible, because we try to be sustainable and we want to use as much natural sunlight. But let's keep going to the Science and Engineering building number 1, which focuses on the School of Natural Sciences. So natural sciences consists of topics such as biology, chemistry, physics. So anything that isn't engineering is going to be housed in the Science and Engineering building number 1. A cool feature about our Science and Engineering building number 1 is that it features our stem cell foundry. So we're one of 2 schools in the nation that allows undergraduate students to work with stem cells. That's a key feature to undergraduate students. A good majority of our undergraduate students are able to complete research. Like Erica mentioned earlier, she's doing research as well. So definitely one of the star highlights of UC Merced. If you want to be doing hands-on research, a lot of our students get to experience that. The 360 that you're seeing right now is of the material science lab that we just that we took a 360 of. And this is the outside of the Science and Engineering buildings, number 1 and 2. And if we spin around to the other side, you'll actually see our water cellar right there, and as well as the electricity plant. And behind it is where the UC police actually are stationed. So if you wanted to know where the SUVs are parked, or if you have to go talk to transport and parking services, we call them TAPs. They'll be located behind the Science and Engineering building. But let's move on to the next building, which is our classroom and office, or actually it's going to be our student services building. Or we're going to be looking at the social sciences and management building, and then we'll hop over to the student services building. So this building consists of research centers for topics such as psychology, cognitive science. So anything that isn't like engineering or sciences that we saw, they're going to be studying in this area. This building actually housed a lot of our subjects such as art and some of the computer classes, because as we mentioned, UC Merced is always growing. So this was a great place to house a lot of our classrooms. And if we go right across the social sciences and management building, we're going to see the student services building. This building has a few resources for students, including lecture classrooms and discussion classrooms. But what I like to highlight in this building specifically is the Math and Chemistry Center. So we have tutoring for all the subjects here at UC Merced. So whether it's physics, biology, chemistry, mathematics, but the subjects that need the most help are chemistry and mathematics. So we have 2 centers that are specifically dedicated to help students with math and chemistry. I'm definitely one of them. Math is not something that comes easy to me, especially after the calculus level. So definitely get help from our tutors, get help from your office hours as well, and your professors. They're the best resource to help you learn all of your subjects. We're going to be hopping over to the next building, which is the classroom and office building number 1. So this building houses many lecture halls and discussion classrooms for our social sciences, humanities, and arts majors. So social sciences, humanities, and arts could be any major such as like psychology, history, creative writing. So anything that isn't part of the STEM field, like I mentioned earlier, where you're going to be housing your classes in this area. If you look at that orange wall that's in front of the building, that will show you the Dr.Lakireddy Auditorium. This is our largest auditorium here at UC Merced, and it houses 330 students. But it's never filled up quite to the capacity because here at UC Merced, we have a 21-to-1 student to faculty ratio. So my largest class personally has only been about 150 students for like for a Calculus 1 class. My CSE classes are only about 100 students. So my class sizes are really small. So I always get to speak to my professors and my TAs whenever I need a chance to get help with anything. Located right behind our classroom and office building number 1, we're going to see the classroom and office building number 2. But this is just the view of the discussion classroom right over here. So this is what the smaller classrooms look like. These classrooms seat about 30 students, but mine are usually about 25 students. And the TA will be running this classroom. So if you need any questions, your TA will be right there to help you with whatever you need. And we're going to be looking at right behind this building, which is the classroom and office building number 2. So this is going to be similar to the last building with plenty of lecture halls and discussion classrooms. But this one is going to be for the scientists, the natural scientists, and the engineers. So if you look on our bottom floor, we're going to have a whole bunch of lecture halls. If we can take a look inside one of the classrooms, you can see the inside of the lecture hall. These ones look pretty similar, just they have a different design. These chairs are really comfortable. I've had plenty of classes in this building, such as my computer science classes, my calculus classes. I have a class in this building this semester right now. And it has the same setup as the other one that we saw too. So 2 projectors on the wall. Your teacher can use a microphone and they can be heard throughout the classroom. There's actually speakers all over, so that way you can hear them anywhere. And this building actually features plugs on the tables as well. So let's say you forget to charge your phone or your laptop, you can get everything charged up that you need for the classroom that day. So that way you don't have to worry about your stuff not being charged. This building also houses the teal classroom. That's some of our newer style classrooms that have plenty of TVs in the area. So each group of students would use a TV, and they would be able to project their computer onto that TV, and you have multiple groups all around the room. And the teacher would be seated in the middle, so that way they can help walk around and help all the students with whatever they need. And you can actually project your screen onto wherever you need it to, so that way students can share answers with each other and collaborate with one another. So I'm going to be handing it off to Justin, and he's going to be talking to you guys about the Colligan Library and a few more other stops.
Alrighty, thank you, Ian. So here we are now at the Leo and Dottie Colligan Library. This library, in addition to every other single building on campus, is LEED certified. And that stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. And essentially, these buildings are going to be known as green buildings by the U.S. Green Building Council. This library opened in 2005, and it's a major part of our campus. It's actually one of the main buildings. In fact, it was also one of the main buildings in 2005 once the campus first opened up. It was Colligan Library, COB 1, and then Science and Engineering 1 as well. And then essentially inside the library, you're going to find an east wing and a west wing, administration offices, student service spaces, and then there's like 3 stories as well. And then the library is going to be a place where students can study on the first floor. So you can see like Lantern Cafe. This is going to be where a lot of our students will get their work done early in the morning. Say you have like a 7:30 a.m. class like me in the library, you can come to Lantern Cafe, get some tea or coffee real quick if you want to before class or after, just to wake you up a little bit. And then past our Lantern Cafe, we're actually going to have the Office of International Affairs as well. That's why you can see those flags up above. All those flags are actually representative of the countries that our students have traveled to and studied abroad at. So that's pretty cool. And then also too, with studying abroad, Here at UC Merced, your financial aid will travel with you to whichever country you decide to study abroad to. So that's pretty cool as well. So if you have like a full ride here at UC Merced, you have a full ride there as well, which is pretty neat. And a really good opportunity if you have it. And then also inside of Lantern Cafe, or not Lantern Cafe, in Collegian Library, we're going to have our Calvin Bright Success Center as well. Essentially, it's just going to be an office where all of our scholarly programs are at. So whether you have questions about like our PALS program, which is like our peer assisted learning support, our peer mentor program as well, like Fiat Lux and TRS, our returning veterans program. All of those types of programs are located in Collegian Library as well with the Calvin Bright Success Center. And then we're also going to have the Office of Leadership, Service and Careers and YOP office as well in Collegian Library. And essentially, this is where you're going to be if you want to develop your leadership skills, so that like once you graduate from UC Merced, you can share or you can present those skills to people who are looking to hire, and then maybe you can get hired on, in your job, workplace, and you could take those skills that you developed here at the Leadership Center into the workforce, and hopefully get a really good position. And then for YOP as well, our YOP office and our YOP program here at UC Merced is essentially going to be a program for students who want to be park rangers in Yosemite. Since we are directly partnered with Yosemite, Merced is the gateway to Yosemite. So that's why, it's kind of cool that we're partnered with them directly, especially us being a UC and all that. So that's why we have our YOP office and our leadership office directly tied together like that. And then here's just some pictures of the inside of the library. This is going to be the third floor of Collegian Library. You can see we have tables and all that. There's tons of books for students to rent out, do research on their own if they want to. And then fun fact too, UC Merced is actually part of the University of California. So that makes us the second largest library in terms of like our database, since we do share everything with all the other UCs as well. And then the first is going to be the National Library in Washington, DC. So that's pretty cool. Just shows that how much information we're carrying all together with all of 10 UC campuses, which is pretty neat, pretty cool stuff that we have going on here in the library. Then we can go down to the next spot. That's going to be the Joseph Edward Gallo Recreation and Wellness Center. And essentially, this is going to be our school's gym. It opened up in August 2006. Essentially, this is where our students are going to get their workouts in. So we actually have two gyms here. It's going to be the Joseph Edward Gallo Recreation Center and our Student Activities and Athletic Center as well. But here's what the inside of the Joseph Edward Gallo Recreation and Wellness Center looks like. You can see it's like a typical gym. It has some cardio machines, some weightlifting machines as well. We also have free weights too. So that's like the barbell. You can see we offer like medicine balls and all that. Really cool stuff, really good variety to keep our students in shape and active, which is really nice, all part of the tuition as well. And then we also offer fitness classes here as well in this part of our gym. So it could be like Zumba, core, yoga, all of that good stuff. F45 training right there. We have like a whole room separate just for the classes. So it's pretty cool. Really awesome stuff that we have going on here as well. You can see we have bike classes too. So it's really cool. And then these classes too, they're completely optional. You don't have to. You pay like a smaller fee to take a part of them per semester. But still really cool that students have that option to add it on if they want to. But yeah, really good stuff here in the gym. Then we can go over to the Student Activities and Athletic Center. And then like I was saying, essentially this is going to be our second gym here on our UC Merced campus. It's a bit smaller, but it has everything that the first gym has. It just has a bit more cardio machines and all that. This also used to be home to the YOP program as well, or like our national park office. But then they moved into Collegian Library, but that's where they used to be. That's also where the CAPS office used to be as well, which is our counseling and psychological services. But you guys will see it like later on, or you guys already saw it early in the tour. They moved to the newer building down campus at the Health and Athletic Center. But yeah, that's going to be the Student Activities and Athletic Center here. Essentially just a smaller gym on the other side of Joseph Edward Gallo Recreation and Wellness Center. Pretty cool stuff here as well. Then we can head over to the Sierra Terraces. And that's going to be one of the original residential halls here on campus. So the Sierra Terraces, they opened in August 2007, and they include Tulum and the Mariposa Hall. And these halls were designed mainly for freshmen back in 2007. And essentially like these rooms, they come in what is known like as a Jack and Jill style. So it's going to be doubles and triples alike. And then between those doubles and triples, there's going to be restrooms that connect those two rooms. So it'll be like two rooms sharing one restroom. Pretty nice. You don't have to use like one communal restroom. You kind of get your own restroom. So that's nice too. But that's how those kind of work. And then these residential halls also come with cooking facilities as well. So for those of you who want to cook on your own, maybe you want to eat something different besides pavilion food or Yelbaka food, or you just want to, you miss that home cooking style, you have that option as well, which is really nice. And then next up, we have our Yelbaka Forest Dining Center. So early in the tour, we saw the pavilion, which opened up in the fall of 2018. And then now this is the Yelbaka Forest Dining Center. This is going to be like the original dining center here on campus. So before the pavilion, this is where all of our students were eating. Nowadays, it's mainly going to serve as like a vending spot for local restaurants. So local restaurants will come onto our UC Merced campus and they will like serve their food here. And sometimes it'll be not traditional food on their menu. So they like to experiment here a lot. So like, for example, turmeric, they have Indian food, but sometimes they'll make burritos out of Indian food, which is pretty neat. And you can't get that at the actual restaurant. So it's pretty cool. And they like to experiment with us college kids because we kind of eat anything. So yeah, that's the Yelbaka Forest Dining Center. Just a second dining center here on campus. Really cool stuff as well. And then we're going to go to our Terrace Center. So essentially here at the Terrace Center, this is going to be our hub for housing and our residential education here on campus. And then you're also going to find our den here as well, which is going to be a cool little hangout spot for our students. So essentially, if you're a student here on campus, you can come in here to the den and you can see they have like ping pong tables, they have air hockey, foosball, they have tons of seating for students to relax. They also have a TV set up for gaming if you want to do that with your friends as well. Overall, just a cool little hangout lounge for our students to de-stress and socialize with one another after their class hours, which is really nice. And then we're going to go to the next slide. We're also going to have in the Terrace Center is going to be our California room too. You can also see we have our Bobcat Pantry as well. So essentially what our Bobcat Pantry is, it's going to be for students who need help with food security. So once a week, you can sign up to get free groceries from Bobcat Pantry. And it's really nice, really cool resource that we have here on campus. So students who are kind of struggling with food or just, want some free groceries, they can come and get it here at Bobcat Pantry. It's completely free. It's really nice that we have this here for students, making sure that all of our students are well fed and all that. Then along with Bobcat Pantry too, we also have another service called the Basic Needs Office here at UC Merced. And they kind of deal with food security and housing security as well. And they're actually going to be moving to the Terrace Center as well, into the old visitor center. So that's pretty neat too. And then we're going to go to the Valley Terraces. All right, so this is another one of our residential halls here on campus. This is the Valley Terraces. And these Valley Terraces opened up in 2005, so they're part of the original campus as well. And these residential halls are more like an apartment style. So if you were to go inside, you'll see like a main living room, and then you are going to either have like 2 or 3 rooms that are doubles. So 4 to 6 students will be living in these residential halls in a single room or like in a single dorm. So yeah, so you can see the inside here. That's what a double looks like. It's pretty spacious, pretty cool. You get your own desk as well to study. And then on top of all this space, you get a living room too. So these are pretty nice. And then nowadays, these Valley Terraces, they're mainly going to be for continuing students or transfer students, and then graduate students as well, I believe so. Mainly sophomores, juniors, seniors, and then anyone who transfers to UC Merced, they'll be living in these mainly over here in the Valley Terraces. And then, like I was saying too, the Valley Terraces they come with their own restrooms as well. So it's pretty nice, but they don't come with their own laundry, but that's not an issue because laundry is literally in the den or at the Terrace Center. So it's like a 1-minute walk from your place to there. So it's not a big problem at all. So it's really convenient, really nice location too on campus, really quiet, really peaceful, really nice place to be overall. And then we're going to go to the last residential hall here on campus, known as the Summits. So the Summits, they opened up in 2010, and they consist of Tenaya Hall, Cathedral Hall, and Half Dome. And essentially, these are just going to be some more residential halls here as well. Each building can hold up to, I believe, 150 students. And then inside these buildings, you're going to find like the basic amenities of a residential hall. So it's going to be like laundry, cooking facilities. These also have like mini computer rooms as well, which is really neat. Really cool for the students to have access to that right in their own dorm. This is also where the housing office is going to be located too. So, you know, when you're a freshman here at UC Merced and you need to talk about like your housing situation, where you're applying to live at on campus and all that, you would come over here near to the Summit, which is where our housing office is at, and they'll help you out with all of that stuff too. So that's pretty cool. And then we can see here what the inside looks like. So this is what a room looks like here in the Summit. This looks like it's going to be like a double or a triple, but you can see pretty spacious too. Pretty nice, really good stuff overall. And then also too, another thing with the Summit, yeah, this is where we're going to have one of our, what do you call it, residential or living learning communities, LLCs. Yeah, we have Afro House here. Stands for Africans for Recruitment and Outreach. And that's just one of the many, LLCs that we have on campus. Of course, we have more over in Glacier Point as well for natural sciences. But, just kind of shows that we have a lot going on here, and we're a really diverse campus as well, which is really cool. And you see this is what the inside looks like. This is what one of the lounges look like here in the Summits. A big old TV screen right there. I saw like a pool table as well. Really cozy place for the students to, make themselves at home. So really cool stuff overall here at the Summits. All right. And then we're going to move to the next stop. Our last stop is going to be our beginning sculpture. Okay, so if you were to look us up on Google or anywhere really, this is going to be our symbol. That is the beginning sculpture. It was designed by Aris Demetrios, and then it was put here on our campus in 2009. And this sculpture is supposed to represent new beginnings. Like it's supposed to be a seed for growth, which is really cool, really awesome stuff. And I think, it's true because like us being UC Merced, the youngest UC in the system, I think it's a really cool symbolism to who we are as a campus. We're new and we're growing, and we're only getting stronger. So that's really cool that we have that here on campus and it represents us. And then a couple of things too that we do with that beginning statue. We like to do, we like to have traditions here at UC Merced. We're like a close-knit community. So during the holiday season, we'll actually dress it up like a Christmas tree. We'll put lights all around it and we'll have a little ceremony celebrating the holiday seasons among us. It's just a good time overall. And then we're also going to have our bridge ceremony for our freshmen here at UC Merced. So if you guys decide to attend UC Merced in the future, as a freshman, you're actually going to walk through the sign. And then you guys are going to stand in that patch of grass right there, and you're going to form a symbol. My year, we formed the state of California, and then we put a heart where the Central Valley is located, since that's where UC Merced is at. And then they shoot a drone up to the sky, they take a picture of it, post it all over. It's really cool stuff. You're going to meet a lot of people. You're going to meet the chancellor and all that. Awesome event as a freshman. You don't want to miss it. You'll remember it for the rest of your college experience. And then as a senior, you're going to walk back out after commencement. So, it's really cool. As a freshman, you walked in. As a senior, you walk out. Just a cool little tradition that we have here at UC Merced, so you can remember all the good times that you had here on campus. But yeah, that's going to be our beginning sculpture here. And then with that being said, I'm going to pass it off to Ricky because this is the end of the tour.
Fantastic job, Justin and Ian and Erica. Thank you so much to our fantastic tour guides for giving us that live virtual tour. And as was just mentioned, we are going to dive into our question and answer session. So if I can go ahead and get all of our tour guides to hop back on screen with us, and we will go ahead and jump into our questions. I think the first one I'd like to start with that everyone should be interested in is, why did you pick UC Merced as the first place for you to start your educational journey? And let me go ahead and kick this off over to Erica.
Thank you, Ricky. Yes, so the reason that I chose UC Merced was because of the very heavy research culture that exists here. So I kind of mentioned in my introduction, but research was something that I definitely knew that I wanted to be a part of. And so coming to UC Merced, which, is one of the younger campuses, it definitely provided me with that research feel that you would get. But it was a lot easier to get into a lot of the research labs. So for example, I can talk a little bit about that. I'm a cognitive science major. And so here there's really it kind of just depends on what you want to focus on. So there's a lot of emphasis on neuroscience, but also artificial intelligence and also developmental psychology, which are some of the things that we do here. So just having, the ability to go to your professor's office hours, classes are just a lot smaller, and it's just really easy to approach your professors and let them know that you want to be involved in research. So that was the main reason why I chose UC Merced.
Thank you so much, Erica. And Ian, would you like to share your story?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, I'm from Patterson, California, which if you didn't know is a really small town. It's a one high school town. So I'm going somewhere where the school was relatively small and the town was not just a huge city, was something that was important to me. And once I came here to UC Merced and drove here, the back roads reminded me of just like exactly where I was back home. So I was very comfortable once I got here. And once I got onto campus, it was even better. Everybody was really nice. I went to the band club. The band was really nice. I actually stayed for a math lecture, and sorry, that's my cat. I stayed for a math lecture, and the math professor was actually really funny. So I was having a great time in the math class, and I ended up getting that math professor myself for Calculus 3. And he was a great teacher, one of my favorite teachers here at UC Merced. So everybody was really nice, and that's why I came here. One of the many reasons.
Thank you so much for that, Ian. And also, Justin, I'd like to give you the same question to give you an opportunity as well to share with our audience why you picked UC Merced.
So kind of like how I mentioned at the beginning of our tour, right, when we were doing introductions, I'm from Merced, and I just thought the idea of attending a University of California that was here in my hometown was a really cool idea. But also too, because I had two older sisters that attended UC Merced as well. So that was like a big factor in me attending UC Merced too. But also, like I said before, I just wanted to be a part of the campus that was new and growing and on the rise as well. And I wanted to be a part of something that was going to be, really big in the future, because I know that we're trying to become like the biggest UC in the future and all that. And I know like right now, we might be the smallest campus, but I get to say that like in the future, once we're all big, once we have like our medical school, law school, and all that, I can say I was a part of that before all that was here. So I just want to be a part of the legacy. And also too, like they have really good opportunities here as well to get closer with your pro faculty and staff, like professors and all that, since we are like smaller population overall as students. So, just really good opportunities overall for everyone. And yeah, that's why I chose UC Merced.
Fantastic. Thank you all so much for that. Erica, I'd like to go back over to you. And actually, this question can go out to everyone too. So if anyone else wants to jump in, what types of financial aid opportunities do our students get offered at UC Merced?
That's a great question. So that's actually one of the other factors that I considered when attending UC Merced. And I'm sure that, a lot of students and families have to discuss as well, because, college is expensive. That's the reality. But here at UC Merced, we are very well known for giving our students very generous amounts of financial aid. So most of our students here do receive financial aid. And so it kind of just depends on where you fall on the spectrum. So for example, I can speak personally for my experience. I have not paid a single dime towards my education. Since I'm a local student, I was able to receive kind of what's known as like a full ride. So yeah, I haven't paid anything out of pocket. I actually end up getting reimbursed from UC Merced during every start of the semester. I actually get money back, and that's money that's for me to use So typically I would use that for electronics, textbooks, because those are also very expensive, and anything else that I need. I'm also considered a commuter student since I do live about like 15 minutes away, not too far, but that's also some of the money that I end up using for gas, which is also very expensive now too. But yeah, so I can go ahead and pass it on to Ian so he can kind of talk about his experience with financial aid here.
Yeah, so my experience with financial aid was pretty similar. So I kind of compared the packages that I received from the colleges that I got into, and I definitely thought that UC Merced would be the most beneficial for me, especially with the Bobcat grant that they offered. Because if you didn't know, the first 2 years are required for on campus. So them having a scholarship specifically for on campus to help cover those costs was really awesome, and I had a really great time my first year living on campus in the dorms. Like we saw earlier, we had a few different kinds of dorms, and those dorms where you're living really next to each other, like kind of hotel style dorms, was a really great experience. So the Bobcat grant helped me in being able to meet a lot of friends and have a lot of great experiences that I wouldn't have had otherwise. Because I am a local student, so being able to commute was an option for local students, but being able to live on campus was much better.
Great. Justin, did you have anything to add about financial aid or any other advice for our students today?
No, I believe they covered it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So another question coming in has to do with the residence halls and maybe campus even in general with our internet access and speed. What has your experience been with that? Have any of you lived in the residence halls, and or what has your experience been?
So I can probably speak to this one. When I was living in the dorms my first year, I was blown away because I actually plugged in my computer with the Ethernet, and I was able to get up to a gigabyte down. Sometimes it would fluctuate between 900 megabytes and a gigabyte. So if you can't speak internet, that's really fast, almost 3 times faster than what you need to do any kind of videos, studying, and on Wi-Fi you get 300 megabytes down, which is really, really fast. So essentially what I'm saying is if you're losing at video games, it's not because of the internet. You're going to have to get a little bit better.
Great advice. Thank you so much, Ian. So I'd like to also move on to a question about laundry facilities on campus and how much does that cost, or does it cost anything at all?
Oh, sorry, I was just going to pass it on to Ian.
Oh, sure. So in my experience, I paid $1.25 for laundry, so wash and dry. So it's under $3 to wash and dry. And then you can actually go to the bottom floor of your building and use laundry machine. So you don't have to worry about going anywhere else unless you're in the terraces. You just have to walk a minute over, and you're right next to your laundry area as well. So in my experience, it does cost a few dollars to wash laundry, but
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and shift over to a new topic. We do have a question coming in about the WUI program we offer at UC Merced. I'd like to now bring on and introduce the admissions director, Dustin Noji, to take over that question.
Hi, everyone. So just to answer the question about WUI, what WUI is a program that we participate in. We're actually the only UC campus that participates in this program, and it allows non-resident students from states located near California to save a substantial amount of money in non-resident tuition. In fact, the savings is pretty significant. It's up to $24,000. To qualify for the WUI program, students from states like Hawaii, Colorado, Oregon, Washington, Nevada would be applying for admissions for our campus. You have to have a minimum GPA of a 3.5 as a incoming freshman and a 3.25 as a transfer student. And if you meet that GPA, then we'll notify you sometime after you receive your admissions decision that you've received the WUI. And again, it knocks off about $24,000 in non-resident tuition for students. Those students who are California residents shouldn't have to worry about that because they actually save a substantial amount of money because they don't have to pay non-resident fees But for students coming from out of state, it's a great program to participate in. And like I mentioned before, we're the only UC campus that participates in it. We allow students who are from those states to apply for any of our majors, and we do not restrict WUI by major. But the only requirement is that you meet that GPA requirement and that you apply for the fall semester.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dustin, for hopping on with us. And the next question, we are getting close to wrapping up, so I'll go ahead and give each of you a chance to mention possibly one club or organization that you've been a part of, and then we'll start our wrap up for the evening. So let's go ahead and I will start with Ian. You're at the top of my screen.
So one club or organization that I've been a part of, my freshman year, I actually joined the band, so I was able to check out the band club and see how the students performed. One of the really interesting things about the clubs here that I like is that they're student run. So seeing all the band kids having to conduct themselves and choose, like usually the students don't get to pick the songs and do all the fun stuff like that. So it was just nice to see that the band was run by students and everybody that was there wanted to be there. So sometimes in high school in band class, you'd have people that didn't really want to play because they weren't wanting to study and practice every day. Everybody that's in the club wants to be there because they want to play music. So it's really nice. That was the experience I had. If anyone else has any other clubs or organizations they've been in.
Erica, would you like to go next?
Yeah, of course. So one of my favorite clubs that I am a part of, it's more of an organization, but it's the Associated Students of UC Merced. And so it is kind of like student government. So, like in high school, you have president, vice president, all that stuff. I'm currently a senator. So what we do, we get together every Wednesday. And as senators, students from, different registered clubs and organizations actually come to us. We help them create bills for funding is one of the main things that we do. So if they have an event, for example, just a couple of weeks ago, we helped the Bollywood club that we have here on campus for a really cool event that they were doing. So it's really cool to just see all of the different clubs and organizations come present to us. But yeah, that's pretty much what we do for ASUCM.
Perfect. And Justin, can you give us a little kind of a look into a club or org that you've been a part of?
So most recently, like I've been rushing for Delta Sigma Pi, and I get initiated like this Sunday. And overall, the experience has been really cool. Because before I was in Greek life, I really had no idea how it went down. And you just kind of think that it's just a group of people being like paying to be friends, but no, like it's so much more than that. You get to learn like the ins and out of what it means to be a part of an organization, like all the work that goes into it, all the different roles that actually do matter to make an organization run. And then like more specifically too, I think my favorite part about being like a part of Greek life or any like organization or club in general on campus is like the community service that we do, like how we give back to our communities and all that. And like how we have a philanthropy and all that, especially like, so our philanthropy is going to be like for the Ronald McDonald House and all that. But every other Greek life organization has their own philanthropy. So overall, like you're giving back to the community, meanwhile learning like leadership skills, and then also being able to learn like communication skills too amongst one another, and just how to like be a professional, I guess, and how to like be a part of an organization. So that's why I say like it's important to join clubs and all that while you're on campus, just so that you can get a feel of what it's like to be a part of something, and how big groups run together and how we're able to make it happen. But yeah, that's my experience with clubs and orgs on campus.
Wonderful. We are nearing the end. In fact, it is straight up at the top of the hour, but I do want to give each of you an opportunity to give kind of a quick word of advice on how a new incoming student, be them a first year or a transfer, how would you recommend that they best embrace their opportunities and experience here at UC Merced? And we'll start with David.
Yeah, sure. I can go first. So something that I worked on that was really needed was just scheduling. So there's something called a phone that most people have, or a computer, and you can go on there and you can use the calendar. You can have a to-do list and just check it off. Do your homework on there. Even some people forget to eat. I forgot to eat sometimes. So just anything that you might forget to do throughout the day, laundry, shower, all that stuff. Just get it on your to-do list, so that way you can tackle the day every week.
Yeah, I agree with Ian. Just checking things off of your to-do list is one of the top feelings in the world. But one of the pieces of advice that I would give is definitely to ask for help. So as, a first generation student, it was really hard for me to, step into a brand new environment and not really know what I was doing. So definitely take advantage of all the resources that you have, whether you're attending UC Merced or anywhere else that you're attending. Just make sure that you're asking for help and that you have a good, kind of like support system when things get tough.
And then to piggyback off of that, when you get to college, like whatever college it may be, just make sure you talk to your advisor regularly, especially in your first year too. That's going to be a really big, key asset in helping you succeed and thrive. Especially for example, for me, I went in as a different major. I was a human bio major. I had no reason being that major. So then I switched out my second semester, my freshman year. And that just really helped me. That's what your advisor is there for, to help you with all of those type of things, to help you figure out what it is that you would want to do. That's what they're there for as well. So use your resources, kind of like what Erica was saying.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much for your in-depth advice tonight and your experience as current students in Bobcats. Fantastic job being tour guides as well on campus. I know I've worked with all of you in person as well. You guys are all amazing, and you've offered a real insight to our audience tonight. So just to wrap up this evening, first, just a big thank you to everyone who's been on with us, both on screen with Ian and with Erica and Justin, as well as those behind the scenes helping us out as well and running the show tonight with that virtual tour. I'd like to give you a couple bits of information. If you haven't yet seen in the chat box, we have dropped a couple links for you. One is for the WUI program, another for how you can go about taking a look at some virtual tours, drone tours, and in-person tours. That's right, in-person tours. So take a look there at that website to get registered for those and see what dates and times are available for you. And as well as that, we also have what we're calling Discover UC Merced, a virtual series. This event tonight was part of that larger series, so there is a website for that as well that is in the chat. You can take a look there and see what upcoming events we are offering through the month of November. I can give you a little sneak peek that many of those have to do with the admissions application that is coming due in the month of November on November the 30th. So that application submission period is the full month, November 1st through the 30th, the deadline being on the 30th. Some of those events that we will be offering are focused on the PIQs, which are the personal insight questions having to do with putting your best foot forward on your admission application, as well as any other thing that you could possibly think of that you might have a question related to that admission application. So please take a look there and get registered. And those are coming up next week. So you want to make sure you don't drag your feet on that. Take a look, get registered, and hopefully we will see you there next week. Once again, it's been a great honor having you here with us tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope to see you at a future event. On behalf of all of my colleagues at UC Merced, thank you so much for joining us and have a wonderful night.